May I have your attention, please?
We are controlling transmission. There is nothing wrong.
The Horror Chronicles.
Whether it's a ghost, spirit, or an entity, they all feed on it. That's the whispering, the footsteps, the feeling of another presence.
You won't have a chance to change your minds later, because there'll be no way to get out.
We have such sights to show you.
Have you checked the children?
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Boogeyman's real.
That is better.
They're coming to get you.
They're here.
Boy.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Horror Chronicles podcast. And I'm your host, Ryan, and with me, as always, my co-host, JT.
What's up, everybody?
And we got a special guest today. He's actually technically, I guess my wife was our first guest, but technically you're our first official guest.
That's your wife a guest?
That's what I was saying. You're our first official guest on the show. So, and his name is Mr. Bradley Wells.
That'd be me.
And today, guys, we're just going to talk about, he's got some pretty cool fucking paranormal stories that he's got about his houses, I should say, technically, because that one, still a house, it just never had water or electric ran to it. That's how old it is.
That's paranormal in itself.
So he's got some good stories about that, and then we're just going to go with the flow and have a conversation about some creepy shit.
Cool.
So,
cool.
That's the way it's going to go.
Welcome to the dungeon.
I love the dungeon.
Yeah.
And it loves you.
So, yeah, man. I want to ask you a question first, just to kind of get you started off, so you can get used to talking on the mic. What's your view on paranormal? As far as like, what do you think?
Oh my God! Ask him the hardest fucking question you can.
It's not really hard. It's not hard.
Well, everything's hard whenever you ask somebody their opinion, honestly. Because a lot of people don't even know what their own opinion is.
True that.
It's kind of a two-part question, though, because to begin with, I didn't really believe in any of it. I honestly didn't until it started happening around me, and I actually started noticing it. And then I did a little bit of investigating myself, found out, oh, yeah, this is somewhat plausible. There's a lot of stuff nobody can explain. So then my mind started wandering, and, 2 + 2 = 4. I ended up here on the Horror Chronicles show. So
yeah, and just so you guys know, kind of, I've known Brad for a very long time. He's done MMA. I actually taught him a few hands stand-up things when he first started.
Dude, that's it. We're gonna set up a cage. And you two are gonna fucking go at it and beat each other's asses.
Is there gonna be chains and handcuffs on this cage?
My ass, I don't care.
Is there whips?
Done.
But yeah, I've known him for a while, and he actually has his own mud park. Which we'll go ahead and plug it. You know what I mean? He's got his own mud park called the Backwood. He had the thing called the Backwood Bash. And I went out there because...
What kind of things do you do in your mud park? Like wrestling? Or?
There is a little bit of that, normally after dark, and to be honest, normally dudes. So
that's not what I want to see.
But,
that's not what I wanted to see either, but give the crowd what they want, I guess.
Yeah, he did what they call a haunted trail ride, which was pretty cool, and he asked me to come out and help him out with it last year. And I had fun, and
that's where you went, because your wife and your wife was trying to get me to go out there with her.
Yeah. We're she likes to do that when I'm not around. And
so we're
Such a
openly
dick.
talking about that now. I thought I was the only one.
Well, this is the Horror Chronicles.
don't let her hear this.
There's no telling what'll come out.
Don't let her hear this. But yeah, and it was actually real fun, man. So hopefully, I don't know, we're gonna set it up for next year, and it's gonna be a blast. So
Absolutely.
we'll keep you guys informed on here once that happens, because I'll be out there, and I might be able to talk Gerald into coming out there,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we'll be scaring the shit out of some people out there on the trails.
As long as you're not doing that on Halloween night. we'll
No,
be good.
that won't be on Halloween, probably.
And eventually, we would like to actually set up a vehicle where we can take the participants in instead of them having to bring their own, because I know
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of people would actually want to come out there and enjoy
Just
it.
to go.
Just
Yeah.
to go, but they don't have vehicles too. So, not necessarily in the near future, but hopefully in the future we can make that happen so everybody can enjoy it.
And that'd be cool for sure, because I know, like, I'd love to get my kids out there, my wife, and scare shit out of them. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But anyway, guys, yeah, and basically when I was out there, like I said, I've known him for a long time, and we got to talking about the paranormal and stuff, and he was been telling me some pretty cool stories about his place, and I was like, dude, you got to come on the show and tell our people about it, because it's pretty cool. So yeah, man, I mean, if you just want to get into at least one story, you can tell whatever, and I'll let you flow with it, and we'll ask questions along the way, and you kind of just do your thing. And
All right. I don't really know where to start, honestly. There's been a lot of things happen at the house behind my house.
well, let's start. Let's start with just so you have kind of like a flow. Start with that old house, the one that's on your property. That you're
Okay.
talking about.
Okay.
Start from the beginning. So you were born.
Yep. So my parents got drunk one night, and
An accident happened.
like 6 months later, I popped out. That's why I'm the special guest. And so yeah, I'll fast forward
Okay.
a little bit.
Moving on.
So the house behind my house is like a late 1800s. It's not a Victorian house by any means,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's something that you would think of seeing out of the book of To Kill a Mockingbird.
Great book.
It didn't have water, didn't have electric. They actually added electric later on, like towards the end of the house's life. I'm going to say that because the house is just dead, and it needs to be dead. It needs to stay dead. But no running water. The electric that's ran in it is on the outside of the walls. The old door is a solid oak door, in the front, and it's all lead-based paint. So, whenever I need a snack, I go out there and eat. And
That explains a lot.
it does explain a lot. That's why I'm not hungry right now. But it's the windows are all broken out of it, so it kind of has that eerie look to it anyway.
Yeah.
Whenever you go in it, it's always a little bit colder than it is outside. No matter what. And there's like a cellar downstairs. It's not even like a basement. It's more of a wine dungeon is what I would call it. It's got a couple of shelves made into the brick foundation, not brick foundation, but rock foundation.
Yeah,
All the supporting beams are trees. That were cut and
Just cut
delimbed,
out,
and
yeah.
they're not finished. They're just trees that support it, and it's a neat looking house, honestly.
Cool.
But no matter what, if you just look at the house, you just feel it's kind of creepy,
Yeah.
You don't see something like that every day, and
That's funny. That's how I was kind of feeling about you. But
You don't see something like that every day.
you don't.
You don't see
You
something
really
like
don't. You really don't.
It's creepy.
no, just kidding.
Well, joke all the way. But whenever I was in college, I had two roommates because we were all going to LUNATIC. Myself and one other was going for diesel technician, and then we had the other special kid that was just being a heavy equipment operator, And our rooms, separate rooms, I'm going to state that up front, separate rooms, all of our windows faced this house, so whenever it was dark, you could see the house if the moon was, just right.
Shine, yeah.
Right.
The weirdest thing that we have probably seen from our house to that house was during a thunderstorm one time. Blake had his window uncovered. This is before we started covering our windows, and this is the reason why we covered our windows from now on. He said he was looking out there and kind of laying in bed, and he saw a lightning strike, and in the top top story is a 2-story house. In the top story, the window is broken out, but you can see a silhouette of a man standing there. Okay, Blake, really?
Yeah.
Stop pulling my chain. So he doesn't do the whole, scared kid thing, but he does knock on the door or knock on the wall because, paper thin walls. He just knocks and says, "Hey, look out the window." I do. Lightning flashes, and then I see it. Okay, that's kind of creepy. There's
now,
an
are you talking right outside the window or like out in the?
This is like them. They're in their rooms.
Yeah.
Right. And they look out the windows, and from their windows you can see that house upstairs. And they're looking.
You're seeing the silhouette in the house.
Correct.
Oh,
and this house is only
okay.
like 50 yards away from my house.
Okay.
So I'm looking up there, and I'm thinking, I'm calling bullshit right off the top because at this point I still didn't really believe too much,
Right.
And I see the lightning flash. I see the silhouette. Okay, that can be explained. There's something in the way. There's a tree limb. There's something,
Right.
Happens a couple more times, and you can distinctly make the arms out that are moving. All right. You have my attention.
Yeah. So there's somebody in the other house. Let's grab the gun, go check it out.
No, it wasn't that. It was more along the lines of, it's storming outside. If they want to stay in that house, they're more than welcome to. They're not coming in my house, I guarantee it. But so we didn't really think too much of it. A couple days go by, moon's out, and we're looking outside the window again, and just see if we can see anything. And the silhouette, same height. You could tell it was about the same. There was no facial features, there was no details, but there was a silhouette. It was in the second window on that floor, so it was the same silhouette. You could tell by just how tall it was and the outline, but it was in a different window this time, and there was no thunderstorm. Okay. So at this point, we decided to investigate. It wasn't raining, and we really were kind of interested at this point.
Right.
So we go out there, get the flashlights, and we open the door, and as soon as we get in the door, it's like 20, 25 degrees chillier in the house than it is outside the house. And we're talking like mid-spring, so it's probably 65, 70 degrees outside, and it's like 40 in the house. We go upstairs, and this... The stairway is creepy as shit anyway because it's really narrow and it's really steep. Like you're talking 15, 20 steps of pretty much straight up. It's almost a ladder, essentially.
Wow.
And it's really narrow. And whenever you're looking up it, all you see is the wall. Because as soon as you get up there, you have to take a right to actually get into one of the rooms.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So get into the room. It's not the outside room, but whenever we get up there, we hear some stuff fluttering around in the room. This house is a mess. Before we bought the place, they pretty much ransacked it and got everything valuable out of the house. So you could imagine, candle holders laying on the floor, old clothes, old hat rack laying around, all in a mess. And we hear some ruffling on the corner of this room and shine the flashlight. Nothing's there. Okay, there's a bird, whatever.
Right.
Go into the room that the windows are facing my house, and nothing's in there. All right. It had to have been a shadow. Fair enough. So we leave. We weren't really keen on being there at this point anyway because A, it was colder in there, and B, we were getting, cold chills up our spine just from being creepy. It wasn't scary, but it was kind of creepy,
Yeah.
Go back down and, don't think nothing of it there for a while. About a week and a half, 2 weeks later, I'm looking up in this window, and I see what looks like a candlelight in the room. Can't see the candlelight on the candle, but I can see the flicker in the room.
Okay.
Well, that's how they had to use to light their house. They didn't have electric, so they had to use candles. Right. So I'm thinking, all right, somebody's up there messing with me now. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to see who's doing this. I get up there, no candle,
nothing.
No light. You can smell the melting wax, but you cannot find the candle.
Wow.
Nothing. And there's 2 points of entry on this house. So one point is pretty well blocked off. The other point is the only way we really get in. Nobody came in or out of that door because the last time we went in, we made sure it was locked. I had to kick the door in to get in this time.
Yeah.
So the door's still kind of off its hinges and, messed up. But either way, that's what really kind of made me wonder, like, what is going on? I didn't do any research on the house, didn't care to find out.
Right.
All I wanted to do was push the house in and burn it. Oh, nothing much really happened after that. Just on the terms of this house, we're going to jump around on this timeline a little bit.
Sure.
But just on this old house behind my house, I was just starting my shop. This was probably 4 years after, the stories that just took place. About 4 years after that, I just started my shop. I had 2 employees, Blake being one of them, and another guy that was pretty good friends of mine at this time. We decided one day, well, we'll just go check this house out. Let's go see what this house is all about, And we get in there, and it's not necessarily daylight, but it's not dark in there either,
Right.
So we're walking around, and as soon as you open the door, the basement door is just pretty much right in front of you to your right, about 3 foot in. So we open that door, and whenever we open the door, we see a pair of work boots hanging up on the side of the wall going down to the cellar.
Mm-hmm.
Blake's being funny. He picks them up. He tries them on. Now, him and I have been working together for years. Back before high school, middle school, I think, is whenever we actually started, being friends and working together and all that. And I have never once seen him make a mistake while we were building fence. Never once. He was real good at it. That's why we started one of those businesses too.
Right.
The week following, he had the worst luck ever. Like 3 or 4 strands of fence broke, and every one of them cut his hand. Never had this happen before. Never broke a single strand, and this isn't really a common thing if you know what you're doing. So to have that bad of luck right after doing that, yeah, maybe he was just off his game that week. Yeah, cool, whatever.
It's possible. There are some reports out there of, spirits actually following you,
Well,
especially when if you're looking at some sort of object that was theirs or whatever, and you've taken it out of a location. Now, did he take these boots with him?
He did not take them with him, but he just tried them on. Obviously didn't fit well because he can't hang with daddy shoes. He's got to have little baby shoes. But he just tried them on, and I think it just kind of maybe attached to him. And I didn't really honestly think anything of it until that same week. We were still in there. It was Blake, myself, and Brian, and Brian found a pair of old glasses. So after Blake tried these boots on, Brian tried these old pair of glasses on.
Mm-hmm.
The following week, same week Blake had his mishaps, the following week, Brian had the worst migraines he's ever had in his entire life.
Wow.
Never had that happen before. Okay, maybe he was just getting old. I don't know. There's other things that can explain it.
Glasses will screw with you, but
Well, he just tried them on for like 30 seconds, going, "Ha ha, I'm from the 30s."
Yeah,
and then took them off.
So is he the guy that was out there working out there?
No, I don't think I ever had him around whenever you were there.
Okay.
He was a good dude. Actually, now he's moved on to working in I think Freeburg. So he's a good dude.
I just wonder because the guy who was out there at your trail ride was telling me stories too that he had about the place. So.
Do you remember his name?
Was it Scott? Is that who it was? The older guy?
Yes, Scott. He's got some stories too.
Yeah, he was telling me some. So I got a question.
Yes.
So this house on the inside, so there's an actual door to the basement.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out, as much as I've been out there, but I haven't been out to that house yet. I'm going to, though. We're going to investigate that damn house. But
yeah, we've talked about that. Talked about you and I going out there and getting with him.
Brad, yeah. But I'm just trying to get a feel of like what it looks like. So there is an actual door to basement.
Yep, there's a door to the basement, and as you're walking down the hallway, it's not pegboard, but it's
Yeah.
it's kind of like that old particle board that they put on there. You know, that down this hallway, it looks all like a wall, but the door to upstairs is hinged on the inside, so you can't see the hinges.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And unless you're actually looking for it, you can't tell that there's a door going upstairs.
Gotcha. So it's like a hidden.
So it's
Gotcha.
like a hidden-
Okay.
It's not necessarily.
That's creepy. Well, it's
It's not really hidden, but it's
it's
hard to tell.
Unless you're really knowing where you're going. And now, before it may have had a doorknob on it, something like that to tell the difference. But in the years, there's no doorknob. There's no nothing, you know. It's just kind of there.
Yeah.
So there's holes in the floor. You got to watch your step whenever you're in there. It's everything creaks. Everything moves, you know. And you've got so many noises that you just don't know what they are.
Yeah, see, and that my thing is like, because we kind of really never talked about it. I'll let you finish your stories about that house in particular, but I want to get back to asking you about the paranormal thing, about ghosts and whatnot. But we'll get back to that. Yeah, as far as like, you know, putting on the boots and wearing the glass, I mean, things hold energy. You know, I'm a firm believer, and we'll get into what I'm.
Yeah, we'll talk about a lot of
in
that
a minute. But yeah, I believe that.
Do you know how old this house is?
I would assume it was made in late 18 fuck.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I got
Somewhere in that time.
Yeah, I don't really know. It's an old house, especially not to have water, not to have electric. Oh, I know the house I'm living in was made in like 1973, 1974, and this house is leaps and bounds.
Sweet lime green and shag carpet. Yeah, I dig it.
Shag carpet, no lime green. I dig the lime green.
Yeah.
But yeah, this house was old. You know.
I gotcha.
We've got, matter of fact, there was a pig pen attached to this house. This was still when people were keeping their pigs in their house with them.
Yeah.
You know, so that kind of tells you how old the house was. You know,
these people could have raised hogs, and they say that's the best way to get rid of a body is to feed them to a hog.
Yeah, dude.
So,
yeah. You gotta do something with the teeth, though. I mean, the hogs won't digest the teeth.
Maybe we'll find them.
This guy's like, oh my god, where the hell am I coming?
Oh no, trust me, Brad's just as bad.
Oh yeah, and homemade lye soap, best for keeping the smell down.
Anyway, but yeah, you can get back to you know, where you're at with the story on. I know you're talking about the going up. You were going in there investigating it or whatever. Not really investigating, but just checking it out and.
Yeah, other than what I've already said, I mean, there was a couple more times where you could see the silhouette. There was a couple more times you could see the candlelight in there. And after time, it just kind of got like, okay, do something different now, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a residual haunting, basically.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. It's just repeating itself over and over again. That's what it's doing. It's not meaning to hurt nobody. It's not doing anything. It's not traveling out of the house. Unless you take something out of the house. Now, we have a basement in my house, and it's not necessarily finished, but we've got a bar down there. You know, it's kind of like a man cave, per se.
Yeah.
You know, man cave after I got out of my whole sex dungeon phase, whatever. I changed it over. So we were looking for some neat stuff to put in this bar, you know, and some older stuff or some cool little glass jars that you can ash into, you know. It didn't really matter. We were just looking for decoration or something, anything. So we took a few glass jars out of there, and my house is old, 1973, 1974. It's older.
Watch it, buddy. I got you for
You're young at heart.
Yes, I know.
But we've never had too many issues with the house. The following 3 or 4 days after taking these glass jars and these little knickknacks out of this house to put in the bar, we found a tub full of termites. And I say tub full, it's not like a tub brim full, you know. It just had a thin layer of termites on the bottom of it, and we've never had termites before. Okay, that's cool. And then all of a sudden, there's TV remote missing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just little stuff like that, and we didn't think anything of it. And, you know, okay, well, there's two people living there.
Right.
Somebody was watching TV, forgot the remote. Termites happen sometimes, Oops.
Yeah.
And we continually got this stuff happening to us, and it just kind of didn't really make sense until we were down there in the basement one day drinking, and I took a drag off my cigarette, ashed into that jar, and I'm like, that's the jar from the house, isn't it? Eric said, yeah, it is. I said, I bet that's what's causing all our problems right now.
Yeah.
Well, let's take it out and see what's going on, and maybe it'll go away.
Yeah.
Took the glass jar out. Haven't had a single termite since. We didn't do anything about the termites.
Yeah.
Wow.
Haven't had a single termite since, and we've found the remote every time.
Yeah.
So, I believe that it was attached to something in there, and it was trying to find its way out.
Oh, yeah.
And
you guys brought it out.
Yep. Another thing on that is we didn't tell anybody, about that because a lot of people aren't like us. A lot of people are open-minded. A lot of people don't believe that something like that can happen.
Which, real quick, is why we do this podcast too.
Yeah.
So we can talk to people, give them an outlet. Plus, we like to hear their stories, and we like to, that's just something I'm into. I'm into talking to people, find out what they like.
Yeah.
And if they got awesome stories, they can come here and tell them, and we'll believe them. They don't have to feel like.
Yeah, and we've talked numerous times about how we've both been fascinated with this stuff since we were kids, and and it's weird. You talk about having an open mind, and it seems like as a kid, most kids are, I don't know, susceptible to this.
They have
because they haven't grown to the point where they want to deny things. So they have an open mind.
They got that imagination. I call it imagination. It's not really. They have that thing, and I feel like I still have that.
It's more like open perception.
Yeah.
They perceive literally everything because everything is new to them.
Yeah,
now,
exactly. As you get older, people are constantly beating into your brain that, no, that's not right. No, that can't happen. No, that's not going to,
Yeah.
And as you get older, you kind of lose that, and you're like, oh, no, and you dismiss stuff easier.
Yeah. And
I don't know when I'm going to grow up because I haven't started dismissing.
Well, and that's the thing I was going to talk.
Other people
We've talked about this a lot on our podcast. Like, even with movies, for me, like horror movies keeps that kind of that nostalgia around, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like we said, when you were a kid, and I still kind of feel this way, anything's possible. You know what I mean? And you still have that imagination, you still have that freaking, what the fuck was that sound,
Well, I kind of think the imagination that the movies you're talking about, I think the imagination kind of plays a key role in that. Because I believe there's a little bit of reality to just about everything.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Now, obviously, the movie Avengers, no, that's just a good movie. But who's going to sit there and think of a skeleton hanging a lady in a yellow dress? Who's going to sit there and think of that unless they've actually seen something along the lines? Obviously, not a skeleton, but they've seen something in their life, or somebody has seen something. It's been told story after story after story, and it just comes down to, okay, let's make a movie about it then.
Yeah, and things have happened. There's too many people who have had things happen to them. Like you said, you didn't really believe in the stuff. It wasn't really part of your life.
Correct.
And then stuff happened.
You have to keep an open mind. No matter what, you have to keep an open mind about everything. And I'm not talking about just,
just
horror stuff.
You're talking about life in general.
Life in general, yeah. You just got to keep an open mind. Don't let that kid die inside you,
Exactly. I talk about that all the time. I talk about it all the time, man, because that's the way I am. I have an open mind about everything, and I love this stuff. And, you're kind of done with the story on that, right? As far as
he just cut you off.
Yes. I was pretty well done with that house story.
I want to kind of get into that talk of, like your perspective on the paranormal, because like I'll kind of give you mine, just give you just the kind of what I'm talking about. I've been researching shit for years, dude. I used to have my own, ghost hunting team and stuff like that, and I just I think that there are multiple dimensions. I think there are multiple planes.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
Planes, as they would say. You know what I mean?
Well, at least he's not a flat earther.
Yeah.
The Earth is flat.
There was a story the other day that the flat earthers spent like
$20,000 and they proved that the Earth was round.
Yeah. You saw the same thing. Oh, I busted out.
And their Facebook group said something like, "We have flat earther believers all around the globe." And somebody commented on that and said, "Repeat that slowly."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, I'm sorry. If you have any flat earthers out there who are our show, get
find the edge and jump off.
Subscribers, we love you. We love you. But
they do.
But no, I believe that everything has energy, and as you guys know, energy can't be destroyed. So it goes somewhere.
Neither be created nor destroyed.
Well, nothing can be necessarily destroyed. Matter is there no matter what, and you and I and him, we're all just old dinosaur particles that have been recreated as carbon matter that evolved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, and for an example, the house I used to live in up in the St. Louis area, but it was in the rural area, Actually, it was around Winfield, which there's a lot of Native American stuff out there. That was the name of our Winfield Warriors. There was the name of our school team. And anyway, our house, dude, there was a lot of stuff that happened out there. My dad, I grew up somewhat poor, whatever, it is what it is. And but we had 5 acres. And we lived in a trailer on 5 acres, and we ran barefooted in our shorts all the damn time. That's what we fucking did as kids. But anyway, my dad used to burn our compost, our stuff, and then he'd bury whatever that he could for like the fertilizer and whatnot. And he was digging one day, and he hit this big ass rock, what he thought was a rock. Well, he picked it up, and it was a big ass arrowhead.
Perfect.
It was like 12 inches by like 5 or 6 inches.
Like maybe an axe head or something?
Well, no. Well, we didn't know what it was.
Right.
Well, like there's Native American people up there, all over the place. This is back in the fucking early 90s. Way back whenever Joe was an old guy.
I'm out of high school by the 90s.
But
back when he was young, the Dead Sea was just sick. George Burns quote, by the way.
Yeah.
But
had to give him credit.
But yeah, my dad took it to this guy because we had been having problems. My dad kept it. He kept it. He's like, "This is cool," and he kept it. But we started having all this stuff going on in our house, dude. Like I remember, we used to sleep in the living room on the floor. And we were laying in the living room floor. We lived in a trailer, guys. So, you walk through a trailer, your kitchen, your living room is pretty much all open. And then you got a hallway that goes down to the bedrooms in the back of the trailer, Well, we were laying in the living room, and all of a sudden we heard this pounding starting in the back of the house coming.
Was it the parents?
No. We were all born by then. But it was coming from the back of the house. My parents, it's funny you say that. My parents' room is the master's on the other side of the kitchen.
I think I may have to replace Ryan.
And there's stuff hitting the walls, and it sounds like someone just run through. You know how, even in a trailer, you know how it sounds when someone's running through a damn trailer. You know what I mean? And it's pounding on the walls and the floor, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And it comes through the kitchen or through the living room where we're at, and we're like, petrified, head under the blankets. And goes through the kitchen.
That will always save you, by the way.
Yes, blankets always will. Yeah. Oh, yeah. For some
Feet
reason.
On the bed, not over the edge.
Yeah.
And blanket over the face.
Over the
face.
face.
My God, I thought I was the only one that. You ever freak yourself out when you're going to bed and you jump into bed because you're afraid something's going to reach out from under the bed and grab your foot?
Yeah, like a kid.
I still frickin' do that.
To a certain extent, at this point, I'm just like, take me.
Well, you did talk about the termites, so I don't know. Maybe.
I'm more worried about stepping off the bed and falling through the floor.
He's more like, how'd you get out?
I haven't necessarily been, terrified in my own room. I did have a scare with an ex-girlfriend in there one time whenever she accidentally got the pillow stuck on her face. I was trying to get it off of her, but it was just really heavy. I don't know.
But and this thing goes through the kitchen. It knocks a bunch of stuff off of the kitchen, and then goes through my mom and dad's room. The door comes open, goes into the bathroom, which is the dead end of the house. And my dad jumps up, and he thought it was my brother, drunk. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? My older brother. And he gets up screaming, yelling, goes to the bathroom. There's nothing there. Nothing. Wow. And on the outside of our house, I don't know if you guys, of course you guys know, I don't know why I keep saying that. But in the trailer bathrooms, they have a little bitty window right above the toilet, it seems like. Trying to take a piss, and like there's a window right there.
The thing is a pain in the ass to climb in.
Yeah.
Especially when the husband comes home.
But, so if you look out the window there, you look into our front yard, over here in this ditch line is where my dad used to dig the compost shit, That's where he found that big arrowhead. Well, over here, there would be like a little girl sitting in the freaking middle of our yard, like sitting on the ground like she was picking flowers or something. You know what I mean?
Now, was there a certain kind of attire that she wore or anything like that?
Yeah, like it was a little girl in a white dress. That's all. I mean, basically all I can remember. I was young.
Did it look like modern clothing, or was it like...
to be honest with you, I was so young, I didn't really think about, what it was, But it was a little girl in a white dress sitting on the floor, on the ground, like she was picking flowers. And this, dude, I'm not a bullshitter. This is 100% true. I mean, I can call all 5 of my siblings and my parents, and they'll tell you about it,
We don't need to do that. We don't have enough microphones.
Nope.
But anyway, and then in the garden, we had a huge garden. Like our garden was almost the size of this whole shed here you got. I don't know what your shed is, but it's about the same size as this.
Shed.
I call it a shed. It's a garage. 3-car garage. Okay, sorry.
Is it technically a 3-car garage if there's only 2 cars in it?
I don't know.
Well, the third car is usually in here, but I moved it so that we.
Well, you know the saying: if a bear
car.
shits in the woods, does it smell if no one's there to smell it? You know what I'm saying?
That's all right. We don't mind being in the shed.
But
bear doesn't shit in the woods if it lives in the zoo.
Yep. But anyway, there was a person that was out in our garden area. Standing in the middle of our garden area. It got to the point it was so bad that like my mom, bless her heart, she worked her ass off all the time. She has multiple sclerosis and she's had it for years, but she worked her ass off and all that, and she got up at 4:30 every morning to go to work. And she would wake me up to walk her out to the car. Wow. I'd walk her out to the car and I'd walk back in the house and go back to bed, because she was petrified of it. So my dad, finally shit kept happening, dude. There was some crazy shit that kept happening.
And now, was there anything that happened necessarily where the arrowhead that you found was placed? Like where did you keep that relatively to where everything was happening?
Well, my dad kept it in the house.
But where at in the house?
In his room.
Oh, in his room. Okay.
But
gotcha.
In that ditch line, you would see something going up and down the ditch line.
It was looking for that arrowhead.
It's a figure going up and down the ditch line. You couldn't really make out like if it was a guy or a girl or anything, but it was just a figure. You see it. Well, finally.
Was that kind of close to where you dug up the arrowhead?
Oh yeah, it was right where my dad dug that up at. Well, he ends up taking the arrowhead to this Native American leader, because my dad he was a recycler. What they call a scrapper. He would dig up, he would clean out riverbeds and creek beds and, all kinds of stuff. And he would take the metal or whatever he found, antiques, and he would do whatever.
You can find some neat stuff doing that.
Oh, dude, he's found quite a bit.
A lot of hypodermic needles, but.
And nowadays you will.
Yeah.
Back then it wasn't as bad.
We've got a nice area down the hill here. There's no needles in it, though.
But
I'm out.
He took it to this leader, and the guy said that's a burial arrowhead. And what that means is it was basically like a headstone, kind of, so to speak, for a warrior.
Gotcha.
And when he cracked it in half, when he hit it, that's what happened. He's like, you need to take this, and you take it back where you buried it, and you need to freaking
take it back where you dug it up.
Yeah, where you dug it up, and then bury it, put it together, and bury it back over. And
now, is there a special kind of glue to hold those arrowheads together to keep the ghosts away?
Called holy shit glue. But what's crazy about this, and check this out, to be honest with you, I can't remember 100% if this was the findings on it, but my sister told me it was. She may have told me this just to make sure I didn't feel bad or wasn't scared. This is the 100% truth. I put it on everything. My dad dug up a skeleton in that part down there. Mm-hmm. We called the cop. By this time, my grandparents lived on the property with us too. They had a double wide to put on the property too.
Yeah. Dude, I just got to say, my big plan is I'm going to build a big porch on the front of my house. I'm going to take one of those Halloween skeletons and throw it underneath it whenever I build the porch. That way, whenever somebody, 30, 40, 50 years from now decides to tear down that porch, you're going to find this damn skeleton.
Well, see, that's funny you say that because my grandpa came down there. My dad found it, and he's like, "You better call the cops." And the cops came down there. They did all their stuff. They took the thing.
Yeah.
My sister told me, "Oh, it was a fake skeleton that, like, someone used as a doctor, or, or something." It wasn't.
Oh, the doctor ones are actually real skeletons.
They're real skeletons. Yeah. But like she was just trying to tell. She told me, it's just fake. I don't know if it is or not. I don't know the rest of the story on that as far as the skeleton goes, but that's 100% real that my dad dug that up.
And you talk about. I'm going to kind of skip back a little bit here. You were talking about seeing the figure walking up and down the ditch. It's kind of interesting because that's relatively similar to you guys have all heard the stories about the lantern that goes up and down train tracks and stuff.
Fahrenberg Light.
It's very similar to that kind of story.
Yeah, Fahrenberg Light. My dad just told me a story about that. That's a guy who was walking down got hit by a train.
Got hit by a train, yeah.
And now you see the light.
Mm-hmm.
I do have questions on how you get hit by a train.
Happens, dude.
It happens. I mean,
it's not like they're going to swerve at the last second.
Usually it's a push.
Yeah, but check this out. Not too long ago, a guy I went to school with, he was a few grades under me actually, got hit in Rolla by a train. I don't know if you remember that. It was probably 7-8 years ago. He was wearing headphones.
And didn't hear it coming?
And it hit him.
You would think you would feel that.
You would feel that if you were paying attention. But I mean, you got
it just depends
playing.
On how loud you have your music. It
exactly.
could be thumbing,
you got music playing. You're not really paying attention. But back to what I was saying. Like I've seen a lot of crazy shit, man. And something else that happened during this time is we all know you have dogs. Something happened with yours. Something happened with yours. So your dogs are like your kids, man, or like family.
Oh, yeah, they are family.
Right. Well, we had this dog named Mabel, and we saved her. This guy, believe it or not, we had a long driveway. We'd walk down the driveway to get on the bus to school. Well, I was up there with my older brother. We were waiting for the school bus. This dude pulls up in his car. He got a bag full of puppies. He's getting ready to go kill these dogs. He's like, "You guys want a dog? I'm going to go kill these dogs if you don't want them, or if you don't want one."
Son of a bitch. Somebody needs to beat that guy's ass.
Well, my dad was
take
like,
them all.
Well, my brother's like, "Well, send him down to talk to my dad." My dad was at the end of the driveway watching.
Yeah.
And my dad ended up keeping one, right? And that was our dog Mabel. And she was the best dog we've ever had my entire life. That dog had a different bark for everything. She would walk us to the school bus every morning. She would be sitting there waiting on us to get home every night. And when we got all, and anyway, I love that dog to death, dude. She was definitely part of the family.
Yeah.
Well, we were all sitting, like I said before, in the trailer, the living room and the kitchen, right next to each other is the bar divider. That's all it's there. Sink's right here. We're all sitting. Most of us are sitting in the living room, and we're just talking family stuff. My dad and my sister are in the kitchen. They're standing there talking at the bar, and we're all talking together. This ball of light, about a $50 size.
So kind of like an orb, I guess.
Yes, kind of.
Or a little bit brighter, maybe?
It was definitely brighter than an orb.
Yeah.
Because the lights were on. We were all talking.
Ooh.
This ball of light.
Well, and it's interesting. You normally don't see orbs with the naked eyes.
Yeah.
They would be normally with camera.
Usually you catch those on camera or video. No, I'm not a big supporter of orbs. So
I'm not. Yeah.
They could be a speck of dust. They could be
a lot of them are bugs and dust. Yeah. But, I mean, I've seen, I'll tell you a different one here in a minute, too. Yeah. Well, this thing I don't know what it was. Call it orb just for hell's sake. Whatever. Fuck it. Comes in the window, right? In the kitchen, and it kind of just floats just like this, dude. And we're all shut up and looking like, what in the fuck? And my dad stands to the side, comes past him, and it goes up underneath those plastic dish things. You put your dishes to see dry in. Creates a perfect little half dome where it went under. Not burned like it was made that way. Melted.
Wow.
Just underneath it. And my mom's like, everybody's quiet for a minute, Then my mom was like, "You know what that means, don't you?" And we're all like, "No, what's that mean?" She's like, "Someone in the family or close to the family is going to die." I'm like, okay, I was a kid. I was a kid. I was like, okay. But then not even 20 minutes later, my dad drove up to the store to get him some beverages, and found our dog on the side of the road, got hit by a car.
Wow.
And coincidence, maybe. But I promise you, I'm not saying a bullshit story.
Now, what's the background on that kind of lore? Where does that even come from? How did she know that's what that
I don't
meant?
even know. My mom, we talked about it before. My mom she's the one that got me into kind of horror movies with the movie Phantasm.
Yeah.
Which is a great movie. We talked about it.
Fantastic movie.
But anyway, I couldn't tell you, man. I know that people talk about signs all the time, you know.
Right.
There's signs that something was going to happen. This happened before, kind of like we talked about the Mothman prophecies before.
Right. Well, I mean, and that's a legitimate question.
Oh, hell yeah,
you just asked.
Yeah.
Because, for me, it was my grandmother used to always tell me these stories. And you kind of wonder, where did that come from? You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where did they get that kind of information? I mean, it's something that's passed down from generation to generation. There are still things that my grandmother told me that, I'm not a very superstitious person. Well, I say that. I mean, I am, but, there are certain things, like you knock the salt over, you got to throw some over your shoulder, you don't walk under a ladder. There are some weird things like that. And people get those from their parents or their grandparents and stuff. And I don't know, they call them old wives' tales.
Yeah, yeah.
But
most of them spur off of kind of paranormal activity, though.
100%. I mean, it's like you said, if we have never heard about that, right? Say in that situation that just happened that I talked about with that orb, if we have never heard about that, and then 20 minutes later, my dad finds our dog dead, that's going to be our story.
Yeah.
So then you hear that story 10 years later,
right?
And someone says, "Hey, I just seen this thing," and you're like, "Oh man, that means something's going to happen. I heard this story this one time."
Yeah.
And that's where it goes, and it goes from there. Then you hear it 10 years later.
It's just a big long game of telephone, and sometimes it'll get mixed up in the whole story.
Yeah, it gets lost in translation.
But
it's kind of like the Jesse Salt story.
Yeah.
No, I'm just playing.
Is that the guy that paid to beat himself up? I don't watch the news too much.
That's him. We're not going to talk about it. I just had to. It popped in my head. I had to say it.
And they were like, well, now they're going to take this guy off the show. And I'm like, who gives a shit? You can take the whole damn show off for all I care.
Yeah,
Is he on a show?
He was on this show called Empire.
Let's take it over.
Yeah. but yeah, basically that's...
Never mind. Sorry, I was going to go somewhere I didn't.
I don't want to go too far into that on here. But yeah, I as far as superstitions go, the one thing I 100% believe in as far as superstitions is, and it's not really superstition, is karma. I believe in karma. I believe in karma 100%, dude. I can't do something to somebody unless they fucking deserve it.
Right.
Well, I think that goes back to the residual energy thing that we were talking about before.
Yeah.
If you portray good energy will come your way, and if you portray bad energy will go your way.
I mean,
I'm so glad
ancient.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I wanted to talk about this, and you just reminded me of it. Thank you. Energy with things. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They talk about, and this is going to be getting into what you think paranormal is and what you think ghosts are or whatever, spirits. Everything has an energy. If you're a good person in life, you put off a good vibes. You got a good energy, man. You got a good aura. Mm-hmm. And I believe in that. I get vibes off people. You know what I mean? Right. Let's say I told you this story before. I haven't told him this, but we talked about this before. People say they believe.
Talk to this guy.
People say they believe in heaven and hell.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine. I think it's great. If I believe there's something after this.
If you have to believe in something like that to be a good person, that is awesome.
Do it.
It is.
100% do it. But basically what I was saying is like I believe, and I was talking about the different dimension things,
I believe in stuff like that, and I'm still a piece of shit.
Yeah, I'm an asshole for sure, but I'm a nice asshole. I'm like a bleached one.
You're like a sweet one.
I'm like a bleached asshole. You know what I'm saying?
Those little chocolate anuses you can buy, maybe.
47 minutes.
No, we're not. We're definitely not editing that out. But no. Sorry. No. but like,
Man,
okay.
we're way off in left field now.
Well, look,
We've got all day.
check it out. If you have someone who I got to have two friends, two kind of totally different people. One was I don't want to say he's a piece of shit, but he wasn't a good guy as far as life goes. He was a good friend.
He just made some poor decisions.
A lot of poor decisions, freaking all kinds of stuff. And he got in a car accident, bad one, and he had scars all over his body from it, dude, like bad scars.
Mm-hmm.
And he died for like 16 minutes. They got him back, and I was talking to him one day at work. And I was like, so what happened? I'm like, when you die, what you
don't come back from that.
I was like, what happened?
Especially 16 minutes, and if you do, you're not right ever after that.
Right.
I'm like, what happened with that? And he's like, did you see the light? She's like, no, man, it was complete darkness. He's like, it was just complete darkness. But he was away, but he knew it was darkness. And it's kind of like the further we talked about in The Conjuring and stuff like that, to go into that darkness, right? I had another buddy who just died not too long ago. You know him, big bodybuilder. I don't want to mention his name.
Understand.
But he was a good dude, and he's always kind of a good dude, But he went into a coma for like a month, 2 months, or something like that, right? And when he came back out of that coma, all he did was preach about God. All time. He would get into arguments with us on Facebook about it. Not really arguments, but he stood his ground and talked about that all the time.
Right.
Now, that being said, I believe there's something after this. What it is, I don't know. I know that the more people look into like DMT trips, and we talked about this a lot, the more people look into DMT trips, every person who goes on DMT and takes this journey, like on ayahuasca or smokes it, the medical stuff, they see the same spirit. And they call it the mother or whatever. They call it whatever. It's a guide.
I hope it's not this damn Momo thing that's all over the place right now.
I think Momo's kind of hot.
She's got a big mouth.
Now, I'm not trying to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
But keep that in mind because I have my own opinions on this too that I really want to share on that.
Oh, no, 100%, dude. We're going.
I mean, keep going, but I want to come back to that and I want to make sure that we can.
Oh, you 100% can.
I'm, beverages.
Yeah.
I might forget just if that happens, remind me.
Go ahead. I'm good. I know where I'm at. Go ahead.
Okay. You can't talk about paranormal activity or paranormal things or paranormal energy and not bring up a heaven, hell, God, Satan, anything.
Evil,
like
light, dark.
Yes, you can't do that. Now,
You got to have balance.
Yin and yang. There's
Yeah.
good and evil, and there's evil and good.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that there is a God. I'm not going to sit here and say there's not.
Exactly.
So don't get mad at anybody who's listening.
We're in the same boat. Don't worry about it.
I don't.
Piss nobody off.
I don't know if there is or not. I haven't really looked into it, honestly. All I know is whenever I go into a church, I don't feel comfortable, and it's not the creepy kind of uncomfortable that you get going into a creepy house. Right. It's the feeling of they just want to take my money and preach about not judging other people while they're judging people.
Exactly.
Well, that's organized religion.
And we talked about
religion
that.
Is a lot like organized crime.
Yeah,
you're correct.
I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes or anything.
And somebody will take that out of context, and I don't think anybody's meaning anything out of context.
No, we're not. It just as a Christian, I am not gonna preach here, but I cannot find anywhere where in the Bible it tells you you're supposed to give. Okay, well, let me back up a little bit. In the Bible, it does state about giving 10% of your earnings to the church. Now, that being said, that's not supposed to go to the evangelist so that he can buy himself a new Ferrari.
Yeah.
And that's what happens a lot of times.
Well, my thing, too, is that the Bible is written by man.
Yes.
It was.
And
if God gave us free will to think, then why are we being reprimanded for questioning?
Right.
Yeah, and my thing, I don't want to go too much into religion about it.
Well, let's talk about it just for a little bit because I'm going to bring this up because that goes into, and please don't get offended, either one of you guys or anybody listening.
You want to
offend
me?
That goes into Satanism.
Yeah.
Okay. So as when I was younger, I read a lot about Satanism. That was all through that 80s era, teenage years. They were talking a lot about Satan being in metal music and backmasking and all that stuff. So I jumped in with both feet and decided I'm going to check this out. So what was interesting to me about that is you just mentioned that, in Christianity, if you do something wrong, you're going to get punished for it. Satanism is completely different. Satanism, they're not going to punish you for doing something that you have free will to do. Okay? In Satanism, they tell you if somebody smites you on the cheek, you should smite them back just as hard.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of more Old Testament style too, though.
See, my thing about it, I'm not trying to interrupt you.
No.
But my thing about religion is I used to be really religious. And it wasn't my parents, because my parents never went to church. I woke up one Sunday when I was like 14 in the middle of the summer, 13 or 14, woke up one Sunday. I'm like, I'm going to go to church. It's summertime, dude. I was up all night the night before, just hanging out as a kid.
Probably watching horror movies.
Yeah, good possibility. And then I'm like...
Or horror movies.
Well, the good thing about horror movies is there's all kinds of TNA, so that's the best part about it.
Fair enough.
But anyway, I went to church, and then I started going to all churches. I've been to so many different churches, man. And like you said, a lot of them, what I got out of it is all judging. Everything is judging. And my thing is this. Me and you are kind of the same, as in coming from a fighter standpoint or
Oh, I thought they were going to start holding hands.
Yeah,
Sorry.
right.
We still might.
The day's not over. But I'm not going to bow down to somebody, and I'm not going to believe in something that wants me to bow down to it. If anything, I think a God would want you to raise yourself up and become, do you know what I mean?
In the great words of Phil Anselmo, I'll call no man my father who's no closer than a stranger.
Exactly. And my thing is, Phil Anselmo is? He's the lead singer of Pantera.
I'm country boy.
Yeah, but anyway.
Okay, we're done here.
But anyway.
Is this because I made fun of your Mustang?
Maybe.
No, I don't think that, the way I look at it is I think there's more, and go further into it, but I don't really want to. But if there's a God and he loves everyone so much, George Carlin said it the best. I mean, just go look up George Carlin on freaking on religion. But anyway,
probably be a few beers in first.
But if the God's so great and everything, which is fine, if you believe that, whatever, why does he let kids suffer from cancer and die? Right. Why does he let innocent children suffer, period, at all? You know what I mean? I know they say, well, Lucifer has more power on the earth because he's closer to the earth and above.
Pause right there.
Okay.
I have a theory on that.
Okay.
Now, go to church, they say you have to be in God's house, you have to talk to God, but how many people, and I'm not trying to be any sort of a downer on this, but how many people have actually talked to God, seen God, felt his presence? I go to church and the only thing I feel is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right.
They say God is everywhere, but you have to go to God's house to pray. God is everywhere. Why do we have to go to God's house to pray?
Yeah. Supposedly it says God is wherever two or more people are there to worship him or whatever. Mm-hmm. However, go ahead.
A very interesting fact here that the pagans, witchcraft,
which is more where I'm at, pagans.
Which they believe in a higher power that is similar to God, and they call it Manoah.
And actually, paganism has Jesus Christ as one of their deities. They really do. It's not just one God. It's multiple deities that they can worship for separate different things. Right. If I'm in charge of say my shop, I can't control everything that goes on there, and that's just a 4-bay shop.
Right.
How can one all-knowing, ominous being be able to control 7 billion people and what they do?
Well, it can't. Right. It's free will.
You can't. Yeah.
But see, my thing is this, like he was talking about, though, with multiple deities. I believe in common sense and,
decency.
Guess what? You take away the sun.
I would probably word that a little different for the for the Christian followers or for the other followers that don't necessarily believe in anything.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily a common sense thing, because obviously if we're still living, we have at least some common sense.
Well, religion and Christianity is all about faith. You got to have faith.
Gotta have faith. Oh, sorry. Limp Biscuit. Little.
What are we at? Like 59 minutes at it?
So, and paranormal is along the same lines. I mean, I know we went way off on a tangent about religion, and I love both you guys, but we need to get out of that.
Yes.
We really don't need to be talking about that. But
it's just something that needs to be brought up, though.
You can't believe in the paranormal without having a little belief in Christianity, Satanism, paganism, socialism, Scientology, whatever you believe in.
The only people who cannot believe in anything is the people who, when you die, you're dead.
Yeah.
When you die, you're dead. That's it.
Well, and there's a lot of people that believe that.
Yeah, there is. There's quite a bit of people.
My grandmother was one of them. She was just like, when I die, I'm going to be dead. There's nothing else. My grandmother was not very religious. I do not come from a religious family.
Yeah, I'm not religious anymore,
like you, when I was a young teenager, tried to get into religion and followed it for a little while. I can't say I walk the walk or talk the talk, because I really like smoking pot, but
hell yes.
I kind of felt like what do they call them? A hypocrite.
Yeah.
I'd go out all night on Saturday night, and I would, my goal when I went to the bar is, let's see how much alcohol I can drink, before I die.
See, basically,
so
we have a game to where the most sober person has to drive home, and it's a race.
Unfortunately for me, I didn't have that game. I just made it work. But and then get up in the morning on Sunday morning and go to church, and I'm just like you. I was always uncomfortable there. I did.
Yeah, let's get away from religion.
Anyway.
I agree.
Yeah, because
it's just something that needs to be noted. If you believe in the paranormal, you have to believe in something bigger than us.
Which is where I'm going. That's where I was going at. Right. Basically, when I was talking about the DMT thing, I believe there's something more. I believe there's something else after this, and I believe there's different dimensions and stuff. Okay, like my aunt on the same
Bigfoot.
On the same, he's an interdimensional being.
Hey, why haven't we found any Bigfoot skeletons?
Because they don't die.
I think they go back to their own dimension.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? Bradley, you'd love this.
There's a cleanup crew.
You would love being here having these conversations with us. But anyway.
Man, we're just skipping all over the board here.
Well, like I was
Most
saying,
of my Sundays are open.
So there you go, man.
Well, you feel free to come over anytime.
Anytime, buddy. Anytime. So what I was saying is, like, on that property, same property I was telling you guys about earlier, my aunt, she was, this is, like I said, the early 90s, 90, 92, somewhere in there. She got a new camera, video camera. And she's obsessed with video. We got all kinds of home video, video recording everybody.
91, 92, hell, that thing was probably the size of a suitcase.
Yeah, so she was all happy about it.
I was born in 91.
Yeah, I was born in 86, but yeah.
Pretty sure my mom put me in a suitcase.
I'm not telling you when I was born.
But anyway, so she was videotaping everything. You know how it is. And her and her friend would come over and they would just videotape themselves being stupid and shit, right? Well, they lived in a nice double wide trailer.
I see times haven't changed much.
Yeah.
Except now we use a cell phone.
And dog face emojis or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yeah.
I have an opinion on the dog face emojis.
So think about when you see old pictures of your grandparents and stuff.
Which I love seeing old black and white pictures.
And it's like, wow, that's a really cool picture. Okay, think about kids today.
Oh yeah.
When they see pictures of their grandparents, it's going to be these stupid
dog
face pictures.
Here's a picture of your grandpa wearing high tops and has his comb over with a dog face on, and putting his hands up in a weird kind of sideways peace sign with his tongue out. He was such a great man.
Yeah, and like
I think we ought to all go back to wearing suits.
Yeah, dude. Old school gangster style.
Yeah.
I'm a technician. Can't happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they had a double wide doors. You know, the sliding glass doors, right? Well, she was videotaping, her and her friend were being dumb. The camera was facing them, so I didn't see that time, but in the back of in the window, They had the curtains over. You could see through them. There was a ball of light. I was trying to tell you guys about that other ball. There was a ball of light going like this. And it had a small tail behind it. Just like this, dude. Back and forth. Did it twice. They didn't see it till the next day, and when she videotaped,
it was a light sperm looking for the egg.
Yeah, looking for just looking at the video she found the next day. She's like, "Oh my gosh!" So she showed everybody, and she's like, "Well, look at this." And then we told her about the situation at the house and all that, blah blah. Basically, what I was saying was, in that same house, she was laying in her bedroom, and she said she woke up because she felt something weird was going on. She woke up and she looked up, and there was a lady dressed in old-fashioned clothes, walking around, holding like she was holding a purse like this, looking down at stuff, like she was shopping or something, looking around. And then she said she woke up and she looked at her, and the lady walked around the foot of her bed, but she was looking the other direction, and walked around and was looking and kept looking and like went up like this to touch something, and then kept walking, and then she just disappeared.
It's like a paranormal flea market.
Now, have you ever done any research to see if maybe there was a flea market there or anything?
Well, that's what I was saying.
Some sort of market.
I know for sure that there was a Native American stuff there for sure, because of all that stuff that happened. My dad ended up looking that up.
Well, how old-fashioned of clothing are you looking at? Because
you're looking at like probably, I would say she said something like the 1880s or 1890s.
Thank God. I thought you were going to say 1970s.
Well, now we have a good idea of when he was born. But it just. At that point in time, it could have been an Indian kind of a
a little shop or something, fur trading and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean it's. But what I was getting at is with this DMT stuff that people are doing, it's like they're talking to the next level. You know what I'm saying? Your body produces DMT whenever you die, and it produces a little bit of it whenever you go to sleep. That's why you have dreams.
So essentially, whenever you take DMT, you're taking
your body
people's excrement.
DMT is in almost everything, but we've talked about this in detail.
Apparently, so is his excrement.
But we have like MAOI inhibitors in our belly, which whenever we eat plants and stuff like that, it blocks the DMT so you don't trip. Well, that's why when people take ayahuasca, they go to the jungle and they take this ayahuasca. You take ayahuasca. It's the natural form of being able to go on a DMT trip. It lasts twice as long as whenever you can go do DMT in the U.S. and get like a.
Man, why didn't I have some of that one?
Have you ever tried pot?
Pot has nothing on this.
I have never smoked pot in my life.
Check this out. With ayahuasca, you take two different plants. One is the DMT, and the other is a blocker, so your stomach doesn't block the MAOI inhibitors. It blocks those out so that you trip. And every person who's ever done this.
I don't know about DMT, but there was this one night when we were in Amsterdam. No.
Was it at a coffee shop?
It was.
It was at a coffee shop. So it wasn't in the red light district, but it was at a coffee shop.
No, but we were pretty close to the red light district.
Obviously, you got to go to the coffee shop and then go to the red light district.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's when you have the best fun.
And that is what I would consider a good DMT trip.
Yeah, well, DMT, the thing about what's crazy about it is, and why everybody think it's a key, it's a gateway to your mind, is that every person who does DMT, no matter where you're at, they see the same thing. There was 42 people.
Very interesting is why are these people? Does that mean that there is only one thing out there?
Well, people are calling it like a gateway to the next world. Like I say, when you die, people say you feel that what is it? Euphoric when you die.
Right.
Your body produces such an amount of DMT. You eventually go into a peaceful place.
Well, and
you're just.
Or you burn.
Now that you say that, you hear stories all the time. I mean, all the time in nursing homes and stuff, where somebody will be comatose for not really comatose, but don't talk, don't interact with anybody for years, and then all of a sudden they'll snap out of it and they'll be like everybody's friend and they'll be very active and very happy and talkative and blah blah blah, and then die that night.
Yep.
You hear those stories all the time.
And the thing is
I know some people that actually need to do that.
But so basically what I was getting at is me personally, as far as talking about believing in a higher purpose, higher something, I think that when you die here, you go on to the next. You know what I mean? There's a different dimension. And when you go to that, and people say when they go on DMT trips, is that's that next dimension that you're going into. Your brain's already ready for it. So yeah,
by popular demand,
we were
talking about DMT and stuff, and
basically what I was trying to talk about was what I believe in as far as that goes, and I just believe that you have good vibes and you have bad vibes. I believe in karma hardcore. I can't screw anyone over. I just can't. It's not in my blood, or it's not in me. I can't.
Right.
My son has the worst case of instant karma there is. My 5-year-old dude, he will get up, he'll be doing something. I'm like, dude, don't do that, Jax. And I'll go to either give him a swat on the butt or something. He'll take off running, boom, right into a wall.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's that called, son? And he'll say, karma.
And what did it do?
You know
Bit
what I mean?
In the ass.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, as far as that, I just I think
the greatest was the other night when I was over there, and your youngest son walks in the kitchen and he's standing in the doorway and he's just staring at us.
My 2-year-old
Ryan turns around and looks at him. He's like, "What are you doing, boy? Pooping?"
and he's just looking at me with
that sounds like me last night.
He was looking at me with this slight glaze over his eyes as you could tell, he was applying pressure.
You just know the poop look.
Oh yeah, I'm like, what are you doing?
Then a little tear formed.
And he doesn't say nothing. He just sits there and just keeps doing what he's doing. I'm like, you're pooping, ain't you?
What are you doing? 45 seconds later, I was pooping.
Well, I just left you a present. But yeah,
anyway.
And it's not a toaster.
As far as that goes, I also, like we were talking about in the beginning of this podcast, the nostalgic part and, just having that imagination and that belief, I think that keeps you young. I think it also, why do you want to go through life thinking that there's nothing? And then just, I would rather, even if there is nothing, I would rather spend my whole life saying, dude, there's all kinds of cool shit out there. You just never know. And if there's not, I guess I'll be either A. If there's not, I won't be nothing because I won't care because I'll be gone and there's nothing.
Yeah, it's funny. There's a line, I'm big into music. There's a line in a Megadeth song where Dave Mustaine is talking about, people who believe in religion and people who don't. And he was like, he says, if I'm right, I've lost nothing. But if I'm wrong, I've lost everything.
Yep.
I'm with you there. I mean, why? I don't know. For me, if I knew without a doubt that there was nothing afterwards, I'd be a little freaked out by that.
Yeah, I mean,
I would probably live my best life.
But I'm living my best life anyway. Right. But I'm also choosing to believe that there's something freaking after. You know what I mean?
Right.
Why not?
Right.
My thing is this. Check it out. Do you think it's cool to be like, dude, let's go check out this haunted house?
Duh.
So there you go.
Yeah.
It's an awesome feeling, right?
Is that the DMT releasing?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, what if someone's like, hey, you want to check this out? Oh, no, dude, that shit's fucking stupid. I'm going to go home and fucking read a book about fucking nothing, or I'm going to go home and watch a TV show, watch the fucking Kardashians. I would rather go out and do something and go out and fucking... I don't know, man. I just got the weird outlook on life, I guess. I love all that shit, dude. You going to...
And I think you just brought up a paranormal activity right there about the Kardashians. How are they even famous?
Yeah, famous from being famous.
Paranormal activity right there.
Right.
Well, oh shit, you know what? For some reason, this popped in my head. You never did tell us about that time, about that house. Or do you want to talk about it?
Well, I'll talk about anything and everything.
The one on 42.
Oh boy.
Do you want to talk about that, or you want to wait?
Yeah, I would love to talk about that. I just don't know how much time you guys are actually wanting to allot in this.
Well, okay.
I think what we might do is we may end up breaking this episode in half.
Let's put episode 1 with Brad, and then we'll do an episode 2 if you're cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Next Sunday.
Yeah.
Are you cool to come by?
Well, then what we'll do is we'll just cut this here.
Yeah.
And
because we could talk for 100%.
Yeah, because I guarantee I could come back for the next 3 or 4 Sundays, and I could tell you a bunch of stories.
We have a person who's going to be a third on the show. She's just had twins, first time having kids, so she's kind of out for but I mean, we've been looking for someone to have conversations with.
Yeah, kind of hang out with us and have some cool conversations. I mean,
yeah,
you know, I don't know you. I didn't know you coming into this. I didn't know how you were going to be. I mean, you've been fantastic. I mean, you know, we can actually carry on a conversation. Some people will just sit there, and we know this. We know we're going to run into it. We know we're going to run into people that we're going to have to coax
ask
information out of them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's nice to have somebody actually sit down with us and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I want to talk about.
Yeah. And so next week, what we'll do is we'll start off on that, what you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, I would be more than happy to be your guys' Wayne Brady.
Cool.
Wayne Brady.
Yeah. You never seen Whose Line Is It Anyway? He was he was one of the stars on it, but he wasn't there every episode.
I always think about Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I'm Wayne Brady, bitch.
I'm Rick James, bitch. Anyway, so yeah, guys, I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut this one out and end this one, and then we'll do a part 2. But don't forget to hit us up on our Facebook page at the Horror Chronicles Podcast on Facebook. Just type it in. We're there. Leave us a message, start a conversation, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. If you guys want to send some stories through email, you can get to us at horrorchroniclespodcast@gmail.com.
And definitely don't forget to hit our YouTube page up.
Yeah, YouTube's new to us. We're trying to figure out the video thing, but you know, I'm not a computer guy, so I don't know.
We'll get it figured out, guys, for 100%. You know, we just started.
We'll do it eventually.
We're going to get video, and it's going to be a lot better. YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Let your friends know. Tell everybody about it. And please, guys, send us some emails. If you're afraid to tell your story or you just don't want to, we'll do it anonymously if you want. Give us an email, send us your story, we'll tell it. If you want to get on the show, send us an email. I don't care if you want to talk about witchcraft, werewolves, ghosts, movies, any kind of horror movies. If you're into that, just let us know. Hit us up, guys, and until next time,
keep it creepy.